How are we doing, Euro Football Daily? And today we count down the top 10 clubs who live in the shadows of their rivals. 10. Atletico Madrid. Atletico have a long-standing hatred for Real Madrid, but their trophy-laden neighbours don't even acknowledge them as their fiercest rivals. Real have won 3 times as many La Liga titles as Atleti and have always outdone them in the transfer market with their Galacticos reputation. They have regularly splashed out millions on marquee signings such as Cristiano Ronaldo and Gareth Bale, while their city rivals have had to deal with losing their star players on a constant basis. Spearheaded by the ruthless Diego Costa, Atletico secured the La Liga title on the last day of the season in 2014. But despite their domestic heroics, Real still managed to ruin their season by beating them in the Champions League final a week later, winning 4-1 after Sergio Ramos' dramatic late equaliser forced extra time. 2 years later, they put them to the sword once again in the final, this time on penalties. Those defeats mean they are still yet to taste European success. Their Galactico neighbours, meanwhile, have now won 11 Champions Leagues and had already won it 6 times by the time Atletico had reached their first final. 9. Brighton and Hove Albion. A rivalry that baffles much of the footballing world, the hatred between Brighton and Crystal Palace was established as a result of animosity throughout the 70s, culminating with the Brighton manager Alan Mullery clashing with Palace fans. But problems away from the field in the 90s led to Brighton's demise, and the clubs met just 4 times over 21 years, including an Andy Johnson-inspired 5-0 victory for Palace at Selhurst Park in 2001. Fortunes changed for Brighton after a takeover, and coupled with a prolific Glenn Murray, they reached the Championship in 2011, after which the striker jumped ship to guess who? Crystal Palace. Brighton started the season well in their new home, the Amex Stadium, but they managed to suffer their first league defeat there at the hands of Palace, where Murray was on the score sheet. That's got to hurt. A year later, both sides were vying for promotion and met in the playoffs, and Wilfried Zaha scored the decisive goals to help Palace on their way to Wembley. Palace have since enjoyed 4 successive seasons in the top flight, while Brighton have been watching from below ever since. 8. River Plate. River Plate are Argentina's most successful club, boasting 36 league titles in the top division, which is 5 more than their fierce rivals, Boca Juniors. The competitive rivalry has fizzled out recently though, as River Plate fell on hard times. In 2011, President Jose Maria Aguilar left the club with more than $75 million worth of debt, making their nickname, the Millionaires, rather ironic, and the club finished bottom of the Argentina Primera Division. They then lost the playoff to Atletico Belgrano, which was interrupted by fans rioting, leading to the club dropping to the Nacional B for the first time in their history. In their absence, Boca Juniors have reasserted their dominance by winning the league and cup, before River Plate eventually earned promotion in 2013 to resume the rivalry. Their head-to-head record remains pretty even, but River have fallen way behind their La Boca rivals for now. 7. Rangers. Rangers and Celtic are the 2 powerhouses of Scottish football history, and the Old Firm derby is one of the most hostile rivalries in football. Full stop. Fueled by religious and political divide, the Glasgow Giants have shared 101 Scottish League titles between them, and plenty of bad blood. But in 2012, the Old Firm derby went on a hiatus, as Rangers fell into financial disarray and were demoted to the 4th tier of Scottish football. Influential players such as Stephen Naismith and Sonny Iluko left, and they were handed a 1-year transfer ban, while lack of serious competition in the SPL gave Celtic a guaranteed title every single season. 4 years and 3 promotions later, Rangers find themselves back in the Scottish Premiership, but it may be some time before they're ready to compete with Celtic again, who set a new 27-game unbeaten record in January under the stewardship of Brendan Rodgers. 6. Tottenham Hotspur. Despite their recent revival under Maurizio Pochettino, Spurs still live in the shadow of their North London rivals, Arsenal, and haven't finished above them in the league for more than 20 years. Such is the confidence of their rivals, Gunners fans annually celebrate St Totteringham's Day, dedicated to the day in each season that it becomes mathematically impossible for Spurs to finish above them, which is utterly humiliating. And to add insult to injury, they also sold their club captain, Sol Campbell, back in 2001. Campbell would later be part of the Invincibles in a period where Tottenham didn't beat Arsenal for 9 years, even finishing outside the top 10 in 2004. Not a good look by any means. The years that the club have spent in the darkness of their red rivals is epitomised by Jack Wilshere's infamous rendition of the "What do you think of Tottenham?" chant in 2015. A poetic summation of the arrogance Arsenal fans have shown towards their rivals since Wenger's revolution at the club. Spurs were Leicester's closest title challengers for most of the 2015-16 season, but a dismal run of form and a 5-1 defeat at Newcastle on the last day of the season saw Arsenal overtake them at the last minute and claim bragging rights once again. Could this finally be Spurs' year? 5. Marseille. Marseille and Paris Saint-Germain compete in Le Classique, France's El Clasico equivalent. But the rivalry has become unbalanced in recent years, as investment has seen PSG attract some of the biggest names in football. Serial winners such as Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Edison Cavani and Thiago Silva join PSG's oil-rich ranks, securing them 4 consecutive league titles since 2013. Marseille meanwhile struggled to make ends meet and were forced to move on the likes of Michy Batshuayi, Dimitri Payet and Andre Pierre-Gignac to clear their wage bill. Les Olympians' league form has slowly deteriorated and they finished 13th in 2016, 38 points behind their rivals from the capital. They are also less successful in cup competitions and have been limited to just 1 Coupe de France final appearance in 10 years, which they lost to, you guessed it, Paris Saint-Germain. 4. Everton de Vina del Mar. Next we look at Everton. No, not Ronald Koeman's army of blue scousers, but the Chilean namesakes Everton de Vina del Mar. The South American Toffees compete in the Clásico del Puerto, which translates to the Seaport Derby, alongside nearby rivals Santiago Wanderers. While the Wanderers can usually only manage to finish mid-table themselves, they have comfortably finished above Everton for the last 8 seasons. In fact, for 4 of those seasons, Everton have actually been in the league below. They are the definition of a yo-yo club, having only got themselves back into the Championship Nacional, Chile's top league, this season. Everton have been given huge financial backing from local authorities to invest in their squad in an effort to improve on poor results, including a 3-0 defeat to Santiago in 2013 that saw a whopping 5 players sent off. They will hope to emerge from the shadows of their rivals sooner rather than later. 3. Torino. Every team likes to beat their rivals, but unfortunately for Torino, they share a city with Juventus, one of the most prestigious and successful football clubs in history. Not even the lone signing of Joe Hart has helped Torino get one over on their rivals, and they've only beaten the old lady once since 1995. Torino haven't won Serie A since 1976 and are without a cup success since the mid-90s, while they've spent the last 10 years yo-yoing between Serie A and Serie B. Juve meanwhile have spent every season in their history in the top flight, with the exception of their relegation after the Calciopoli scandal in 2006. The first Derby della Mola back in the top flight following Juve's promotion was marred by fans rioting before the game. But that didn't stop the old lady winning 1-0, and their gradual improvement has seen them win the Serie A title 4 consecutive times since 2013. Unfortunately for Torino, they still have to look back to the 1940s for the last time they dominated the Italian game. 2. Feyenoord. With 14 Eredivisie titles, Feyenoord are no pushovers, but they haven't won it since 1999. And in that time, Dutch football has been dominated by their bitter rivals, Ajax. The Amsterdam Giants have won the league 6 times since then, making it 33 in total, and are one of only 5 teams to have won the European Cup in consecutive years, with 4 wins overall. They are revered worldwide for their impressive youth academy, producing the likes of Johan Cruyff, Dennis Bergkamp, Marco van Basten and Edwin van der Sar. Although Feyenoord are leading the pack in the Eredivisie this year, they're only 5 points ahead of Ajax, and they still have a daunting trip to the Amsterdam Arena to come. The Rotterdam side haven't finished above Ajax since 2006, so history dictates that they might struggle to keep up their form for the remainder of the season. 1. Zamalek. Egyptian Premier League side Zamalek have 12 league titles and 5 CAF Champions League wins, so you could hardly call them unsuccessful. But unfortunately for them, Cairo rivals Al Ahly have an even more impressive trophy cabinet. In terms of international titles, which constitutes any official competition played against teams from other countries, they're the second most successful club in the world, alongside Barcelona, just 1 behind Real Madrid, who have 21. They've won a massive 132 trophies in total and have the record number of championship wins for every single Egyptian competition they've ever played in. Zamalek have been successful recently and won the Egyptian Premier League in 2015, but they still haven't beaten their bitter rivals in the league for almost 10 years and lag far behind them in the history books. Clashes between the two sides are well known for fan violence, and in the early 1970s, the Egyptian league was even cancelled for a year when clashes led to people being killed. That's f***ing insane. Whether Zamalek will ever match their Cairo counterparts in terms of success on the pitch seems to be unlikely, as they would have to win a whopping 82 trophies to catch up. So those were our 10 teams who are overshadowed by their rivals. If you have any suggestions, you know where to put them, down in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this, why not check out Stat Wars with Pat and Chris? And as ever guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.